Welcome back to Man Down Sports. As you can see from the thumbnail, we got to talk about that ass whooping that the T Wolves just gave the Nuggets, man. And I gotta admit that I was 100% wrong. 100% wrong. I really thought that the bulletin board material that Jaden McDaniels gave Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets was going to backfire. And I didn't so much think that the T Wolves wasn't going to be able to come out and try to back it up. I just thought that the motivation from the other side, and by other side I mean the Nuggets and the officiating, I just thought that it was going to be on one side of the court, and the T Wolves was going to be on the other side of the court, opposing each other. And that wasn't the case. They came out and they let them play, and we got the result that we got, a freaking blowout, right? I want to talk about what we seen from it, what I seen from it, man. I'm gonna point a couple of things out that might interest you. I'll wait till we can get most people in here. Make sure you hit the like button when you come in. I'll open the phone lines up as well. We'll take some phone calls. But we'll get into it. And this episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play fantasy sports. I want to tell you about the easiest way to get in on some NBA action with Underdog Fantasy and their pick'em game. Just find your favorite player, or any player for that matter, pick higher or lower on that player's stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in one night. Pick between 2 or 5 players to fill your pick'em entry. Get every pick right, and you can net yourself some serious cash. Use the promo code Man Down Sports and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Plus, now that it's football season, you can follow Man Down Sports as we reveal our favorite picks from week to week. Like I said before, pick your favorite player, pick higher or lower, choose your dollar amount, and win some money. It's just that easy. Make picks, win money. We also want to thank Underdog Fantasy for partnering with us, and we want to thank you for helping the channel out by using Man Down Sports on Underdog Fantasy. All right, so let's get into some of the particulars. Let's get into some of these stats and some of these numbers, man. The score was 113-96. It wasn't close. I mean, they came out and, they punched them in the mouth real early, got the lead real early, kept the lead the entire game, and, they kept their foot on the gas. Every now and then they took it off. I don't like the way they came out in the second half. They could have went for the kill, but they came out in the second half and they kind of let them off the hook a little bit because, they settled for a couple of more threes, a couple of more jump shots, and they wasn't trying to press and force the issue to get in the paint. That's the name of the game, get in the paint. Just like Jaden McDaniels said, just like a lot of us been saying for years about the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic, is you get in that paint, you can get a layup. Nikola is not going to block the shot. He's not going to jump. He's not going to really challenge you at the rim or none of that. He's not even going to hard foul you. The most you're going to get from Nikola Jokic when you drive the paint is he's going to swipe at the ball once or twice, right? He's going to go for one of those desperation steals and swipe at the ball, and that's about it. That's about all you're going to get. What I expect my big man. I even look at this. This dude ended the game with 3 personal fouls. That's 3 fouls you didn't give up. Right, so all those layups that they was bringing to Jokic, he left the game with 3 fouls that he could have gave up. Right, so I don't like for big men who's supposed to be paint protectors and supposed to be rim protectors and it's supposed to be the last line of defense. I don't like them to have the mindset that they can't use one of their fouls because they're so important to the team that I can't use a foul. Now, I understand you can't just waste fouls, but a hard foul, give one up just to drive the point home that you can't come down here. You should be offended that they want to come down there. You get what I'm saying? Like, you should be offended that you want to, you ever, like a real ugly girl ever tried to talk to you and get your number and you looking like I'm offended. Well, that might be a bad example because I don't want to seem shallow, but I flip it. A really pretty girl get approached by an ugly dude at the club. She's probably offended that you even thought that you had a chance. Like, you really can't, like, look at you and look at me. You really came over here trying to buy me a drink and get my number. Like, what made you think I would be interested in Shabba Ranks lookalike? Like, like what, right? And that's how big men should feel when someone like Ant Edwards, or I mean, I don't care if you're a big guard, but Ant Edwards is a 6'4", 6'5" ish guard. I mean, of course, he got a lot of bounce, and of course, he's got a build where he can withstand contact. So you consider him a big guard, but you got Bones Highland, you got like it don't matter. Like the game plan is to get in the paint, get you a layup. If you get in the paint, you can get a layup or a dunk. Get in the paint, you can get a layup or a dunk. And Nicola's not offended by it. You can look at his body language. Like he don't have the pride to say, oh, hell no, y'all not going to keep coming down here. Here's an elbow. Here's a hard foul. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make you pay for coming down here. Like you got to be offended. And I can see that his counter to being attacked like that on offense, on the defensive end, for the way they're attacking him, his counter to that is, well, I'm just going to take the ball out of the net and rush the ball up floor and try to get an assist. Like that's his counter. Like, you like his head coach, Adelman. Silly. When freaking not Bones, but when McDaniel made the comment day before yesterday about they ain't got no defenders over there, and they asked the Denver Nuggets players, they asked Aaron Gordon what you think about the comment. He said, man, I don't care. All right, that's what he said. They asked Cam Johnson. Oh man, they always talking. Like all of these dudes, like they ain't got no comeback. Like they didn't. It seems like none of them dudes grew up playing basketball in the hood or around people who's going to be talking to you like that on the court. Like the way Michael Beasley and who was the guy here, Lance Stevenson, when the way they were talking to each other. I'm gonna make you dance, man. Yeah, I'm gonna make you dance. You know what I mean? Like they were saying some real X-rated stuff. Like, man, we still talking about basketball, trash talking. So when someone brings the trash talk to you and your comeback is, brother, I don't care. Or, oh man, they always talking stuff. We just go play our game. They're always talking stuff. That's that YMCA talk. And then it goes to the head coach. And when they asked the head coach Adam about it, he said, I mean, what is our defensive rating in the playoffs? 109. And what is that? Number 7. I mean, so what are we talking about? Dude, really? You think that first and foremost, it's not 30 teams in the playoffs. So a number 6 or number 7 rating, offensive or defensive rating, would be good if it was the regular season. And we was like at All-Star break where we got a huge sample size and it's all 30 teams involved. But you're talking about 16 teams and only 2 games have been played. And you bragging about a middle of a pack number 7, like number 7 smack dead in the middle, really. Like but that was their comeback. Like all of them had nerd comebacks to some real hood stuff that McDaniels was bringing to them. They all came back like nerds, man. All came back like nerds. Y'all remember that movie Revenge of the Nerds? They all came back like that. I'm like, dude, that's your comeback. Like from the head coach to the best defender on the team, Aaron Gordon, to the newcomer Cam Johnson. Like y'all all spoke like nerds about this. Where's the bros at on the squad? Where's the bros? What's the ones that's like, nah, hell nah, we not, nah. Who was that on that squad? Right. So until Jokic get embarrassed about being picked on defensively and then say, nah, this ain't going down, this never happened again, he's gonna always settle for being a bad defender. But the reason why he never corrected how bad he was as a defender is because as long as he got triple doubles and put up stats, so many people on ESPN, so many people in the mainstream media would explain it away and act like they didn't even see it. forget how bad. Like when Kendrick Perkins talked about how bad he was on defense when it was coming down to the MVP race between him and Joel Embiid, and he tried to bring up his defense. Everybody was like, Kendrick Perkins, you're hating, you borderline racist and all that stuff. Why would you bring up defense? What about all these other people that won MVP that didn't play defense? Harden, Curry, Nash. And I'm like, man, dude, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. Because if you're going to bring up people who were not great defenders when they won their MVP, you have to look at the circumstances that year, right? For example, when Steph Curry won MVP, I mean, he won one MVP when he led his team to 73 wins. So if I'm leading the number one offense and the defense back then was really good as well. So whatever I am as a defender is not hurting my team. So that defensive rating was high as well. And then we broke the record and won the most games ever in history. 73 games. Yeah, you will understand why he could get the MVP with not being a lockdown defender. You can understand why, right? The year James Harden got it, Houston was number one record in the league. The year that Steve Nash got it, the first year, they had the number one record in the league and the number one rated offense. Right? So that makes sense. And then when you look at the people who was candidates with them, when Steph Curry won his, that was unanimous. I want to say the other top candidates was James Harden and some other people. So James Harden, there wasn't no two-way players that was top candidates to compete with Steph. But when you look at Nikola Jokic, he did not have the number one record in the league. As a matter of fact, Jokic never won 60 games he never led a team to 60 wins. This is something that most players that are in the conversation for being one of the GOATs, they've all led 60 win and 60 plus win teams multiple times. They've all been to the finals multiple times. Like when you really start to look at it and you stop being so impressed by triple doubles and you really start looking at it, you really see there's a separation between Jokic and people like Hakeem, Kareem, Magic, Bird, Jordan, Kobe, Shaq. There's a separation between those guys. Even LeBron and Steph and KD, there's a separation. But then when you get down to the Dirks and the KGs and stuff like that, that's where Jokic he belongs with those guys. Barkley, Dirk, KG, stuff like that. But the Tim Duncans and the Kobe's of the world and all that stuff, yeah, leave them at the top of things. Let Jokic settle where he's supposed to settle around Dirk, Charles Barkley area. Still great players, right? So let's look at this. Nikola Jokic, 27 points. He forced the hell out of them. He had to put some points up, but Rudy Gobert, for the most part, guarding him with no double team. And what happens when you're not doubling is now we don't get that many cutters, slashers, lobs, 3-pointers and stuff like that. You don't get that much because now he's dependent on him being such a dominant scorer that we're going to have to send help when he gets the ball. Here's the issue, though. He don't have a real advantage in the post on Rudy Gobert the way he's been playing in this series. So he's trying to do all hit. Plus, the way they run their offense is he's getting the ball on the perimeter a lot so they can do their, they spread the floor and got the paint wide open, and he can do his split actions, or his players can do those split actions off the ball, and he can make passes from there. It's just a way they spam his assists. Right, they just spamming assists, man. Hey, man, we'll run the split. Anybody can run that split action, but it got to be Nikola every single time to spam the assist, right? So, that ain't what your team needs from you right now in this series. That's not what they need. They're putting Gobert on you. They're leaving you one-on-one, no double, so you're not going to get those passes that you so used to getting. So now your teammates are playing left-handed with one hand tied behind their back. And, this is not the style that y'all played all season long, and y'all got to figure out how to score out of that new style of Well, there's no double, so now what we get our points from? And they're relying on Jamal Murray to just go one-on-one, which is what they've been doing all year. You know, hey, when you get the ball, just go one-on-one and, you know, take 4 or 5 shots in a row. And he's been so good that he's been making a lot of them. You know, Jokic go to the bench. All right, Murray, you got about 5 minutes before Jokic come back. Get as many of his points as possible. And Murray just go off. And then Jokic come back, and then they go back into the Jokic offense. It ain't working. And they're not doubling Jokic. And he ended up with only 3 assists this game. And the team itself, I always say a good amount of assists for a team to have at the end of the game is about, like, 30 is very good. If your team can get 30 assists, you're doing something right. Right. But I would settle for 24, 25 assists. Right. You need 24, 25 assists to indicate that your offense is operating well. But 30 means that you getting real good offense out of your players. Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets ended up with 12 assists for the entire game. 12. And the Minnesota Timberwolves ended up with 31. They almost had as many turnovers as assists. They had 10 turnovers and 12 assists. The T-Wolves had 31 assists and only in 10 turnovers. So the things that Nikola Jokic lead the league in, assists and rebounds, he wasn't able to get his team to the promised land with either of those things. They had 40 rebounds. They got out-rebounded by 13. T-Wolves had 53 rebounds. They had 12 assists. T-Wolves had 31 assists. And they got way more free throws than the T-Wolves. I mean, that's quite ugly, right? And this is why it's important that defense be always included in every conversation, especially when we're talking about awarding players, and talking about the importance of anything in basketball. You cannot throw defense to the wayside and say, that's not even that important. Let's just talk about the stats. Let's just talk about the triple doubles. You can't do that. You can't have an MVP and say, hey, man, we value points, rebounds, and assists, and that's it. You know, they go points, rebounds, and assists, and then they be like, all right, what about box plus minus? What about VORP? What about, all this other crazy stuff, man? Like, that's not what the MVP is about. Are you valuable on offense? Are you valuable on defense? And does it lead to team success? Does it lead to the most team success? Both ends of the floor. It has to be taken into account. So McDaniels was right. I got to give him his props, man. I got to give McDaniels his props for sure.
One of the guys that are ultra talented is Jaden McDaniels.
Jaden McDaniels, you're going to go and punch a wall and break your hand and you miss the rest of the season. What could you possibly have been that upset about?
He hit Luka with an elbow. Luka failed. I said, get your set. You became my favorite player in the NBA. Go out to Jokic, Jamal, all the bad defenders, the whole team. They're all bad defenders. Yeah, they're all bad defenders.
Just wanted to foul him for real. I wasn't even mad at just half fouls to use.
You know, they got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels.
Hey, shout out to Jaden McDaniels, man, for real, dog. Shout out to Jaden McDaniels, man. He came out. I thought it was a mistake. I 100% thought it was a mistake to come out and get them that bulletin board material. I was like, man, don't say that out loud, dog. You can think that, but don't say it. We all thinking it. We all know they suck on defense, except Aaron Gordon and maybe Bruce Brown. But the rest of them suck on defense. Well, I think Christian Brown is pretty decent on defense. I think Jamal Murray is decent on defense. Peyton Watson is really good, but he's not playing. Tim Hardaway, you probably can say Tim Hardaway suck on D and Nikola Jokic suck on D. Those two guys absolutely suck on defense. Jamal Murray, I don't see him getting cooked really bad. He ain't on the Jalen Brunson level the way McCullough cooking him, but I'm not too mad at Jamal Murray. But hey, when you looking at film and you looking at that footage and y'all game planning about what y'all gonna do, if you see a chink in the armor and Jamal Murray is one of them, and so be it, man. He said what he said, right? So who am I to get in his way and whatever I said I was wrong about. Y'all got another opportunity in Minnesota to get another win so y'all can go up 3-1 and come back to Denver and try to close them out on their home floor. Why not? Get it over with. If it's that easy. I mean, because when I'm watching the game, it's really, look, if we dribble and get 1 foot or 2 feet in the paint, we're going to get a layup because I'm serious. Nikola Jokic is not jumping at anyone that's coming in the rim. So when you get down there, the only thing that he's going to do is swipe at the ball and try to get a steal. But if you get off the ground for a layup, he's not going to give you no contact. He's not going to jump. He's not going to meet you at the rim. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do any of that. Most of the time, he's moving out of the way. You can't do that ever, especially not in the playoffs. You moving out of the way, you opening the door to an open layup. I'm like, this is your last line of defense at the rim, and that's okay. Y'all okay with that? And people walking around saying he's the best player on earth. Y'all got to remix that and say he's the best stat getter on earth. He's one of the best offensive players, but you have to say it that way. You have to say he's one of the best offensive players or the best offensive player in the league. But you can't say he's the best player because when you say player, you're talking about offense and defense. And his offense isn't so good. Like if he was a perfect offensive player, like let's say, man, he hasn't missed a shot in 10 years. Like every time he shoot the ball, it goes in. That's what a perfect offensive player is. He's never turned the ball over, right? So perfection is you never missed a shot, you never missed a free throw, never missed a three. You don't miss a guy when he's open. You always hit the guy. Your passes are perfect, right? You can dribble. You never had a turnover. Like that's the perfect basketball player on offense. So even if Jokic was perfect, how bad his defense is, he still wouldn't equal to a better player than a two-way player like Wemby. You get what I'm saying? Like perfection doesn't even cover a multitude of sins for your defense sucking. So there's no excuse to have sucky defense and then call it the best. Like it makes no sense. How is the best only playing one side of the floor? We're okay with that. Like, come on. Like I'm trying to figure this out. Like people are just forgetting about the defense they're in the floor. I can care less about defense. Let's not even talk about it. Let's just talk about stats. Let's just talk about stats. Who can get stats? Who can get triple doubles? Them triple doubles ain't helping you right now. They're not helping you right now. Let me get to some of these comments because I had a super chat and I appreciate that super chat from Damar David. Appreciate you, brother. I've been impressed with Gobert. I've been impressed with him 100%. One-on-one with no help for a full game. You stand out of foul trouble. You stay in discipline. I only seen him bait you into one foul on the perimeter, and Jokic still out there shooting 10 threes a game and trying to play like a guard. Shaq would never. Hakeem would never. Kareem would never. You just going to play like a guard? Even Dirk went to the post more than Jokic. Jokic don't want no parts of Gobert in that post at all. He's playing all guard work. I'm like, dude, that ain't gonna get it. That's not gonna get it. But Denver looked tissue soft without Aaron Gordon. I agree. Wolves was putting belt to, you know what, all night, but Ant got to chill on so many threes. I agree. The title of this video is wild. By the way, you must know what wizard sleeves are. You must know what wizard sleeves are. You ain't supposed to know what wizard sleeves are. How you know the title is wild, man? You ain't supposed to know that. Michael Porter Jr. was one with defensive honor. Michael Porter Jr. was another guy. The way Watson and Aaron Gordon, when they're the low man, protects the rim, like because the blocks at the rim usually come from Watson or Aaron Gordon. But before Watson was getting a lot of minutes, they was relying on 6'11" long arm Michael Porter Jr. to do some of that. Even though he's not a lockdown defender, he was a better option at the rim protecting it than anybody else other than Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. was rim protectors for the Nuggets the same way that Kevin Durant was a rim protector in that Warriors defense when they came out with the death lineup with Steph, Clay, Iguodala, Draymond, and Durant. That makes Durant the tallest guy on the court. And a lot of times he was the low man that rotated and helped coverage and protected the rim. So that's how Michael Porter, and you're right, that's how Michael Porter Jr. was used in Denver for sure. But the crazy thing about it is it just goes to show you how important Aaron Gordon is. And the trick that people used to use that would kind of take up for Jokic and lie for him is they would use the Jokic on-off minutes. But one thing that's very unique about the Jokic on-off minutes, you have to watch who goes off the floor with Jokic. Most of the time when Jokic goes to the bench, he goes to the bench with Aaron Gordon. So the Jokic on-off minutes is a falsehood. He usually goes sit down with a couple of starters. They might leave Jamal Murray out there just to just so he can run the show for a little while. They might do that. But a lot of times I've seen Jokic, Gordon, and Murray on the bench together. And then they would call that the Jokic on-off minutes. I'm like, dude, that's the starters on-off minutes. like the whole starting lineup is on the bench with Jokic, man. Are you serious? They call it the Jokic on-off minutes, man. That is funny, man. And then when they ain't got all that comeback talk. Hold on, who said this? He said what now? They need to stop relying on Jokic so much on offense so he can play on the other. That's brother, that's not what's going on. Jokic wanna be a point guard. When Jokic was out for 16 games, did you see the fun and the smiles and the enjoyment that Peyton Watson was having by finally being able to play free and out of that system? That system is not because the team is relying on Jokic. That system is because Jokic is relying on his team. They're the ones who putting up the shots so he can get assists. Like that offense is created for Jokic to get assists. I want you to think about that. They created an offense for assists for Jokic, right? Like if you was a head coach and you sat down and you was like, man, I'm trying to create an offense. What's my target with this offense? And when you think about all the great offenses that was created, and you think about the triangle offense, right? And you think about Phil Jackson, do you think that when Phil Jackson, and he didn't even invent it, his assistant Tex invented it, Tex Winters, I think that's his name. When he sat down and created this offense, he didn't create it for Michael Jordan. He didn't even know who Michael Jordan was when he created this offense. This offense was created way before he got to the Bulls. So he created an offense not with a player in mind, I don't think. He created an offense based on basketball and the rules of basketball and how basketball is played. How can I manipulate, exploit the defense, and how can I counter everything that they can throw at me with this offense and all this stuff? And all that was built into the offense. You got so many concepts, like everything when you go out and go to a basketball tryout or some type of camp or something like that, every drill that you work on all of those things are incorporated in this triangle offense. You get to use post ups, you get to pivot, reverse pivot, like all these concepts. You know, it's so many things. Everything is incorporated in it, right? So that offense was created to really put defenses in spots where now we can dictate what we're going to do to this defense based on what you're showing us, right? You know, it's a different target with that offense. The target for the Denver Nuggets offense is for Jokic assists. That's the primary target for that offense. That offense is created for Jokic assists. So everyone's working 5 men on the floor, including Jokic. We're all working so Jokic can record an assist. That's what that offense is for. Jokic assists. Then they got to go on the defensive end, and that whole defense is created for Jokic not to have to defend. So we'll let him like all the high school when they involve him in screen and roll actions. He's going to go drop coverage on all of that, and all the other 4 guys have to overcompensate because we're dropping him in that coverage. Because if in drop coverage, we go give up, threes or pull up jump shots all the time. So in order for us to stop that, we'll let Jokic get in drop coverage. Somebody from the opposite end of the court is going to have to probably get in the gap and overplay a little bit and pre-rotate to stop something, because the guy that's getting screened is not going to be able to stop it momentarily. So somebody's going to have to get in the gap. So that means everyone has to adjust to this one guy that we're trying to protect to make sure that he never gets exposed. So you can drop coverage on all your screens. All the other 4 guys adjust to make sure we can stop the score. But when the ball comes out of his hand, because I done left my man to pre-rotate, we still all got to get back there. So you're making 4 guys work extra hard on defense. And it's funny, the guys that continue to get hurt for the Denver Nuggets ain't never Jokic. It's always this guys that's playing defense for him. It's Aaron Gordon, stay hurt, soft tissue. It's Peyton Watson, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray. It has to be studied that they're the ones that's getting hurt. Don't you think all that defense they got to play, they got to guard 5 people with 4 people while Jokic is hidden in the defense? We got to guard 5 people with 4 people, and we the one that keep having these injuries. Knees, soft tissue, hams, quads. Like Aaron Gordon is out now with a quad, or is it his hamstring? Peyton Watson out with a hamstring. Why they keep getting these hamstring issues? They're overexerting themselves. But that's the formula in Denver. Hey, look, everyone stand around, let Jokic do everything so he can get assists. But on the defensive end, y'all do everything so Jokic can hide. That's their formula, and they thought they was going to get multiple championships with that. You lucky you got that one you got. Y'all ain't even been back to the finals. That lets you know something ain't working. Y'all done got rid of Michael Porter Jr. Y'all done fired Mike Malone. Y'all trying everything. Now y'all in that cycle. Once you start finding out that, dang, we thought we got the best player in the world. He's still in his prime. How come it's not working? We don't put all the pieces around him to make it work. But we keep getting beat by people. Like, it's players is coming in and they rising up, like Cade Cunningham. Like, I came in, he was low. They built a team around him in 2 or 3 years, and boom, all of a sudden now they contenders and winning more games than Denver. So how is the best player in the world who had a team built around him good enough to win a championship? Now all of a sudden these young bucks are just passing him. If he's the best player in the world, how come these people just rising and passing him, and they're building teams around them that can last longer and be more competitive longer than the best player in the world? Like, how is Wemby all of a sudden just jumped from not even making the playoffs to 60 plus wins just in one season? Like the team in San Antonio was trash last year, and all of a sudden, bam, it's built around Wemby to where they can win 60 games. And Nicole ain't never won 60 games. Cade Cunningham, boom, built it around him. They just got this coach last year. Boom, that quick, built it around Cade Cunningham, 60 wins. Number 1 in the East. SGA, boom, 60 plus wins 2 years in a row. A ring, championship. Favorites to win it again this year. Is that much easier when your best player defends and plays offense? It's easier to build around that guy than it is a guy that don't defend. So it's not that that the team is relying on him and he has to do that. No, he wants to play that. He wants those triple doubles. Look at all the notoriety it got him to get those triple doubles. It's a powerful drug. Triple doubles are a powerful drug. Powerful drug. As the great say, if you only win one championship, you got lucky. Yeah, they call it a prove it ring. Your first one is okay. All right, that might be that. You know, y'all remember when Can't Get Right hit that first home run in the prison, and Eddie Murphy and Martin was like, "Dang, Can't Get Right did it." Hey man, that was a mistake. Hit him with that one right there. Throw that curve on him, and he hit another one that was like, "Oh shoot, we got something." That's a prove it ring. The second one is the prove it ring that let you know that the first one was real. If you get one, oh man, you just a one trick pony. Yeah, you got lucky, man. You did that. You get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like you know, if I meet Halle Berry on a cool night and you know and you know she feel lonely and she let me crack, yeah, I probably got lucky. But if she called me back 2 days later and let me crack again, then you know maybe you can brag at that moment. You know what I mean? You got to have a prove it ring. You got to have a prove it ring. Got to have a prove it ring, dog. And Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets and Giannis and the Bucks, they ain't got no prove it ring, dog. You know that one ring ain't it. Not enough to put you in the conversation with Larry Bird and Magic and Kareem and Jordan and Shaq and Kobe and Duncan and Russell. No. One ring ain't gonna get you that, dog. Oscar Robertson got one ring. We acknowledge Oscar, you know, when we talking about top 5 point guards, we're acknowledging him. But when we talking about top 5 players, I mean, I heard Dr. J give Oscar some love for that, but that's just him being loyal and honorable to the pioneers, and I get that. I get that. If I was sitting in front of Dr. J right now, I wouldn't get into a debate on him if Oscar is a top 5 player or not. I'd be like, all right, OG, well, hey, you got it. I'm not about to argue with that. You know what I mean? That's a pioneer. But my personal opinion, if he ever asks about it, you know what I mean? I give my personal opinion. I don't think so. One ring? Nah. It's a lot of greats in that category with one ring. Garnett, Dirk, that's 2 of them. Jokic, Giannis, and Oscar. But people got Jokic in top 5. Well, some people say top 5 center, but it's other people out there saying top 5 player overall. And it's even some crazier people like George Carr that is saying the GOAT. You got to be out your rabbit ass mind if that's the best player we've ever seen and they play on one side of the floor. Ain't no dang on way. Ain't no way in hell. Right? What did the Minnesota Timberwolves do well, though? Well, Gobert was phenomenal, dog. Great defense. You know, he was plus 22 most of the game. He ended up being plus 18 by the end. But, you know, that just means when the starters was on the floor, they was putting belt to tailbone, right? McDaniels with 20 points. They had 6 people in double figures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 25 from the Sumo off the bench. He was in his bag. He was the main one going to the rim constantly. Every time he got a chance, he was going straight at the rim. Like imagine if you're a guard and you're the fastest guard on the floor, can't nobody stop you from getting to the paint. And then when you get to the paint, you also can jump real high. So if you're faster than everybody, nobody's stopping you from getting to the paint. And when you get down there, you can just go up and do whatever layup you want to. There's no shot blocker that's going to, like, there's nobody that's going to challenge it. So you can go down there with confidence and say, if I can get past the dude that's guarding me, I know I can get in the air and Jokic is not jumping. I'm just laying it up. Bow, bow. He was just laying it up. 25 points worth of. He ended up with 25 off the bench. Gobert with 10, DiVincenzo with 15, Randall with 15, Edwards with 17. Edwards only played 23 minutes. He was in foul trouble. And 20 points for McDaniels. And that's another thing that, the fouls is weird. Like, I remember when being in foul trouble for big men was a thing in the 90s, in the early 2000s. Like, that was a thing. Like, I remember watching Sacramento playing the Lakers. And back then, people that was facing Shaq, like if you was in the West, you had to have at least 3 big centers on your roster. And it wasn't because, hey, we using these centers to make Shaq guard them or something like. Nah, it's not. They had 3 centers because they was counting the fouls. They was like, man, we need 18 fouls to waste on Shaq. Right. So Sacramento had Divock starting. They had Scott Pollard backing Divoc's up. And then they would steal some minutes with Chris Webber guarding Shaq every now and then. And then if they really got desperate, they'll bring Funderburk off the bench, who was not that big. He was only like 6'9", 6'10", maybe. Well, and he watched the show too, by the way. I seen Funderburk in the comment section. Show me some love in the comment section, man. So I don't know if you see this big dog. Shout out to you, man. But they bring Funderburk off the bench. I can't remember who else they had. They might have had another center that didn't play that often, but they would rotate those guys, so they know, hey man, first quarter, guarding Shaq, Divock probably go get 2 fouls and he's gonna have to sit down. So all right, man, you defend Shaq the best way you can. You double him, get the ball out of his hand. A couple of times you try to guard him one-on-one, you go give up a couple of dunks. You go foul him hard, put him to the free throw line, make him earn it. You know what I mean? But two fouls from Divock in the first quarter. Then they bring in Scott Pollard. Scott Pollard might get him 2 fouls, and then Chris Webber will guard him just a little bit. Chris Webber might give him 1 foul. That's the first quarter, right? We fouled Shaq 5 times, put him to the free throw line. That should save us some points, because if we don't foul him, that's 10 points. So if we foul him 5 times and put him to the free throw line and he's shooting 40%, we like our chances with that better than him getting dunks without us fouling him. Right. So if the way Nikola Jokic guard the paint in the rim, he would be letting Shaq dunk without fouling him. Shaq would just be dunking, and all Nikola would do is what D'Antoni and Steve Nash was doing. We don't care if they score. We're going to run all the way up the field, all the way up the court. They called their offense 7 seconds or less, because their philosophy was, we want to get up the court in 7 seconds or less and get a shot up. So as soon as they give the dunk up or the point up, Phoenix was running with Steve Nash. Hey man, you might have got 2 points on us, but we coming right down with 2 points, or even 3, because they shot a lot of threes. They was big on the threes. Like, you can get these 2 points, but what if we come down here and we putting up more threes than you? Even if we miss a lot of them, if we shoot 30%, like say for instance, this is their philosophy. This is how nerds start incorporating analytics in basketball. If I'm shooting, let's say I'm shooting 40% from 3. Now that's too good. Let's say 30. Let's say on the low end 30, right? I'm shooting 30% from 3. I put up 10 threes. That means I made If I'm shooting 30%, that means I made 3. That's 9 points. Now, the way they think about it, shooting a real good field goal percentage is 50%, right? So, well, that's not fair. Let me do 40%. Let's say I made 4 3. That's 12 points. So let's say I'm shooting 40% from 3 out of 10 threes. That's 12 points. If you're shooting a better percentage from 2 and you made 50% of them out of 10, that's still only 10 points. So I can shoot a lower percentage from 3, but if I shoot decent from 3 and you shoot great from 2, I'm still either breaking off even or I'm slightly better. That's how they think about the 3-point shot. Oh man, we can put up a lot of threes, and even if we shooting 30 to 40%, that's still better than 50% from 2. That's how they thinking about it. So yeah, we give up the dunk, the Shaq, but that's just 2 points. Steve Nash coming right back down in 7 seconds or less. We getting a 3 up, dog. I like our chances. That's how they thinking about it. That's analytics in a nutshell. That's how they're thinking about it. Imagine that. Imagine if somebody at freaking the Rucker or freaking 24-hour fitness or whatever your local rec center or your local neighborhood outside court. Imagine if somebody was thinking like that back then when we was really learning the game, and somebody sat us down and was telling us, well, you know, if you put up a lot of threes, it's better than shooting them 2s. Like who the heck who the heck thought of that, dog? Who thought of that? Who thought that was smart? That's not basketball, dog. That's not basketball. It is not basketball. Like I told y'all last time we talked about this. You can't analytic common sense out of the sport. Because if you took that to a sport like boxing, like you got so many other factors that are like human factors. Human factors matter, right? So you got like just off the strength of if I'm going to the hole and trying to get these layups, there's a couple of things that can happen, right? One, if I get enough layups down there in the paint, I want y'all to go look at Denver and how every time they gave up a layup, their body language just started sucking. I mean, it was sucking. I mean, it was taking the wind out of their sail, especially Jokic. They was like, man, there's nothing we can do. And everyone's looking at their leader like, you the one giving up all these layups, dog. Like, you can't even help us. You are leader, you are best player, and there's nothing you can do to help. It's almost like if someone came and knocked your daddy out in y'all front yard and the whole family seen it. Right? And imagine somebody knock on your door and it's somebody you got beef with, and your wife and all your kids come out on the front porch, and the dude just knock you out in front of everybody in the yard, and you get up and walk in the house face bloody, and you the leader. You that leader. The kids looking like, dang, daddy can't fight. He can't protect us. And then your wife probably looking at the dude like, now that's a man. In the jungle, in the wild, that's how you take women. You fight for them. You see a couple of gorillas out there, and he got his little mate. Oh, we gonna fight for her. Nah, we gonna fight. And if I win, she coming with me. Imagine if we still live like that. Like I'd be like, dang, who that? I see somebody go to the mailbox. I'm like, golly, she thick. And I just follow her to a crib and be like, dang, shawty, you married? Yeah, my husband right there. I'm about to whoop his ass. And then I go whoop his ass, and then she got to come with me after that. Imagine we still live like that, right? That's what's going on. That's what's going on in Denver right now. They looking at their leader get the daggone doors blowed off of them by Jaden McDaniels. Hey, this is what I'm gonna do to y'all dogs. He can't play no defense. They ain't got no rim protect. I'm just gonna go in there and keep. Man, he went dunked on Jokic too in the fourth quarter. I'm like, oh man, this is bad, man. They knocking daddy out in the yard, dog. That plane ride back to Denver. If they lose this next game, that plane ride back to Denver about to be quiet. They looking at Jokic like, man, you said you can triple double us back to the finals, man. What was your triple double? You had 3 assists. What was your triple double at? Well, when he get a triple double, they win 70% of the time. Well, tell him to get a triple double then. Just get the triple double then. Like, what's stopping you from getting it? If the triple double make you win so much, what's stopping you from getting? Why you not getting in every game? So it's something that you can do for us to win, but somebody's stopping you from doing it. Why are we celebrating it? If you can't do it when you want to, you get what I'm saying? Like they'll say that Jokic, the triple double is spectacular, and when they do it, when he get a triple double, they win. But when he don't get one, they blame his teammates. Well, they didn't make enough shots. Okay, well, if he's not getting a triple double because his teammates not making enough shots, I want you to just really think about that. So when he does get one, that means his teammates is making shots. So really, the shot making is the determining factor on how high or low his assist numbers are. So if I'm making shots, you might get 10 assists and you might get a triple double. If I'm missing shots, you get a game like tonight, you get 3 assists. Think about that. Yes, Tyson. That don't make sense to you? If your teammates are making shots, because nothing changes about what Jokic does on offense. He's always going to play point forward. He's always going to get the ball in the high post and do those split actions and look for those cutters, or have Murray come off on that wheel route where he gets a dribble handoff and uses Nikola Jokic's screen. They run that play 7 to 8 times a quarter. That's all they do. Jokic, top of the key, split action. Let's see if I can get a couple of off-ball screens or split action. See if I can get a backdoor bounce pass or lob. Then if that don't work, then here comes Murray on the wheel route for the handoff. And off that handoff, Murray 1, 2, or 3 dribble pull up. And it don't matter how many dribbles that Murray take, they still get Jokic the assist for it. So my point is that nothing changes about how many times Jokic passed the ball. So if Jokic passed the ball, let's say 8 times a quarter, he's doing it every single night. I'm doing the same passes every single night. So what's the difference between the night when I get 10 plus assists and the night when I get less than 10 assists? The difference is if they make the shots, then I get the assist. But the nights when they're not making a lot of shots, I don't get the assist. So the only factor in that variable that changes is the shot making. The amount, let me see if I can quickly, let me see if I can make a banner really quick. Let's see, let's create a banner. So let's go with Jokic. Let's go with, I'm gonna use J as so I can have Jokic passing plus this should make it real easy for some people, plus shot making equals assist. Right? That's simple, right? So let's put it on screen. J is Joker. Joker passing plus shot making equals assist. That's a math equation, right? Right? Now, the only thing that changes there is the shot making. The passing don't change. There's not one game where Jokic is not the primary passer. He's throwing the same passes and the same amount of passes every game. So the offense is designed for him to have 10 plus assists every single game. That's what it's designed for. But if the shot making is what changes, either we make a lot of shots or we make a little bit of shots. That's the only thing that changes in this equation. The passing never changes. That's a constant. That's what they call a constant. The shot making would be a variable because that is something that varies and changes based on, chances or circumstances. That changes. So that's the math equation. So we're really giving Jokic MVPs based on his teammates' shot making ability. And some of y'all are impressed by that. Some of y'all are impressed. Like, oh my God, he got 10 plus assists. Okay, I mean, whoop-de-doo. Freaking whoop-de-doo then. He got 10 plus assists. Whoop-de-doo. Whether you go give him an MVP for that, but we see him getting exposed on defense like this. He don't provide nothing on defense. Daddy getting beat up in the front yard by Jaden McDaniels. Murray and them looking at him like, dude. All right. Crazy. Yeah, man. Edwards didn't even, 23 minutes, man. He was like, man, he only took 15 shots, man. It's easy. It's easy, man. But like I said, foul trouble is just not a thing that exists no more. I was talking about Sacramento guarding the Lakers, and man, Weber, Divac, man, they always had at least 4 fouls by the end of the game. Sometimes 5, sometimes they fouled out. That means they was really defending and trying. When I see a rim protector, a 7-footer, a center in a playoff game give up 60 plus points in the paint and you only had 3 fouls, that's almost like a security guard guarding a precious diamond at a freaking museum. This dude got 2 guns on his hip and a shotgun. And someone comes in and robs the place, steals the ring or steals the diamond. And when I get there, that guard ain't let off not one shot. Well, hold on. They stole a $2 million diamond. You got 2 guns and you still got all your bullets. You ain't let off not one round. Right? Like all your bullets still in the chamber. Did you even pull the gun out? That's what it is when you remember when coaches used to tell you leave it all out on the floor. Don't leave the floor with something left in the tank. Never. You're not saving nothing. That includes everything that you can give. That's not just your physical exertion. You got 6 fouls. Use them. You can't give up 60 points in the paint and call yourself a center. So what it's looking like, Denver's going to have to get a real center. They're going to have to trade for Rudy Gobert. And then Jokic is going to have to play power forward. If you want to be Dirk and be on the perimeter. But you need a real center. Like Dirk had Tyson Chandler. Dirk was 7 foot, but he couldn't protect the rim. So stop playing center and stop fooling people and stop trying to force people like Aaron Gordon to make it seem like that you're a good defender, but he out there covering for you. You remember that movie? What was it? The story Cyrano de Bergerac. I think Shakespeare wrote this book. Cyrano de Bergerac had a real ugly, disfigured face, so he didn't want to be seen, but he was real nice with that pen. Like he wrote real good poems and letters. You know what I mean? So it was this other dude that was really shy, who was good looking. He wanted a girl. He wanted the girl, but he didn't have no game. So Cyrano de Bergerac was like, "Hey man, I write these letters for you. You give her the letters. She think you wrote them. She'll fall in love." And she was falling in love with everything that Cyrano was writing, but she thought she was falling in love with the good looking guy, not the ugly dude. Right? It was a fallacy, a smoke screen. Right? Long story short, she figured out, man, I really fell in love with you, Cyrano. It's you I like. You know what I mean? Once she found out that he was the one writing the letters, right? But that's what it is. That's what's going on in Denver. Like people putting all these, well, if you look at the advanced analytics and if you look at this and they pulling out all these numbers. I'm like, well, actually, it suggests that Jokic is a good defender and probably one of the top defenders in the league. I'm like, what? Oh, wait, you really found some analytics that suggest that Jokic is a great defender? You found something that said that, and they really would use those stats to argue with people that bring up the issue with his defense. They will really bring up and say, well, if you look at these numbers, he has a rating of blah, 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 and that means that he's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? There's a stat out there that shows you that Jokic is playing defense just as good as Wemby. I said, but wait, the film don't say that. Like when you watch the game, he's giving up layups. He's giving up dunks. He's dog food. You really go trust that super crazy analytic stat over your own freaking odds, which I get because some people could watch. Like right now, if somebody for NASA put a formula on a piece of paper to show how they calculate how far the freaking moon is and how long it'll take them to get there, I can look at that and watch him work that formula out and be like, I still don't know what the fuck you talking about. So imagine someone who didn't grow up playing the sport of basketball, don't know shit about it, that just got into it, and the only connection they got to the sport is numbers. I'm really good with numbers, like Nick Wright. I'm really good with numbers. I'm a geek. I'm a nerd. And these analytics make it so easy for me to follow the game because now I can I can watch the game. I don't know what the fuck I'm watching. I'm just sitting here like this. I don't even want to watch. And sometimes I don't even watch it. I think once you get to a level where you work for ESPN or Fox or something like that, one of those big major networks, they have people take notes for them and give them their notes the morning of the show. And they just, while they getting their makeup done, their hair done, they're reading the notes. You know, if ESPN, the first show come on at 6 a.m, they probably there at 3:30, 4 a.m, getting makeup, and then they studying their notes. But remember, these dudes got lives, they got families. Some of these dudes are like, you know, Stephen A. Smith, he got like 5 shows. He doing a politics show, a radio show, a show he do from his house. He going from podcast to podcast, trying to get his name out there. He's selling books and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? And at some point, he's got to find time to lay down with the bosses. Because the way he talking about them, the bosses, the way he bite his tongue when he say the bosses, I know he fucking them. So at some point, he got to do all that. So when is he finding time to watch these games? They're not watching the games, dog. Right? So they're relying on people to give them notes. They're relying on people to give them notes, and they read those notes, and they come out there and they spit them out on national television. They don't know what the hell they talking about. On top of the fact, a person like Nick Wright don't even know the game of basketball because he didn't play it. He just know numbers, and that's why he's speaking numbers when he's talking about basketball. You can always tell, like, somebody that speak in basketball terms, and there's a lot of people that's involved in NBA discourse and all that stuff. There are some people who were professional jocks, right? But they were football players. Right? They probably played basketball in high school, maybe a little bit in college, but for the most part, that like Shannon Sharpe, he's a professional jock, so he can work his way around the conversation of basketball a little bit, you know what I mean? But for somebody who was locked in their whole life, like, you ain't even got to be a professional jock. Like, if I sit in the room with Shannon Sharpe, I'm not taking nothing in this dude is saying about basketball and be like, oh, I ain't never think of it that way. Hell nah. I remember when Lamar Odom was getting interviewed by Shannon Sharpe, and he was describing the same thing I'm describing. He said, I'm going to tell you how dumb basketball is now. And it's crazy because what he said, it was almost verbatim what I've been saying for years. It's almost like he was watching Man Down Sports. He sat down and explained it to Shannon Sharpe, and he said, the basketball has dumped the game down so much to what we're doing is we're giving the best player on our team the ball in the middle of the floor. We're spreading the floor all around the three-point line. And that one guy is running a high screen and roll, and he gets to dictate when he take a shot and he gets to dictate when all four of other four guys on the floor take a shot. And that's the offense. And Shannon Sharp looked him straight in the face and said, yeah, I like that. I want the ball in my best player hands. What? Don't know the history of the game, don't know the game at all. Because the best player on San Antonio team was either David Robinson or Tim Duncan, but the ball was in Avery Johnson's hand, and Avery Johnson was never even an all-star. And that was good hands to have the ball in. You get what I'm saying? It's not always the best idea. The ball needs to be in my best player hand, and he needs to make the play. Like the coaches had offenses that made plays. Yeah, you got one player, two players, sometimes three players on a team that can make plays, but my offense isn't the foundation of my offense isn't my best player making a play for everybody. My best player can make a play, but my offense is what makes plays for everybody. My best player can break off from the offense and get a play for himself or others, but it's got to be in good order. Run my offense first, because that's what's going to get us the most wins and take us further. On some nights, we ain't going to have it, and that's when we got the superstar take us home. We've gotten this far. We ran our offense. They got our number tonight. It's the fourth quarter. We down 8. You can take over. And that's when it's good to have a guy like Kobe or Mike take over the game. But you only have to do that ever so often and sparingly. Like what Magic Johnson did when Kareem hurt his ankle in the finals, where he came in and was like, you know what, don't even worry about it. I'm going to play center. I'm going to do this. Boom, boom, boom. Got the win, got a triple-double, all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, you don't have to do that every night. What Magic Johnson did when Kareem got hurt in desperation and said, we really need this win tonight, I'm going to take over. You're not supposed to do that for 82 games plus playoffs. They've taken what Magic Johnson has done and said, I'm going to do this on, like they make a calculated assessment and say, tonight I need to do this. Like when J. Kidd used to get triple doubles. It'd be like, he's a point guard. We don't need J. Kidd crashing the board every single night, especially when you got Kenyon Martin and freaking Mutombo rebounding down there. They can handle it. They got it. That's what they get paid for. And imagine somebody say, hey, look, man, I'm 6'6". I jump out the gym. Or I'm 6'9". I jump out the gym. I'm strong and I love rebounding. Imagine being on a team like Steven Adams. He was a rebounding monster his whole career, and even still to this day with the Houston Rockets before he got hurt, nobody can keep him off the glass. But did you know when he played in OKC, Westbrook used to come and take rebounds from him? The only reason why Steven Adams is earning a paycheck in the NBA is because he's a rebounding beast. But he had a point guard coming down there and grabbing rebounds when he didn't need to because he wanted a triple-double. I seen Steven Adams get out of his way sometime so he can grab the rebound. So let that sink in. Like, people are doing unnecessary shit for stats. But like I said, Lamar Odom was explaining that to Shannon, and Shannon was like clueless, like, no, that sound about right to me. What? That's why some of these dudes, so even if you're a professional athlete, LaShawn McCoy is another example. I hate hearing him talk about basketball, but he's a pro. Don't know shit about the game. Manuel Acho, even worse. But then you got a nerd like Nick Wright who didn't play nothing at the pro level and didn't even play nothing at the college level and probably didn't even play nothing at the high school level. He's just not an athlete at all. And he's in here because he went to journalism school and he's good with numbers, so he feel like, oh, man, I can talk stats. And then you got people who actually played basketball at a high level, like Kendrick Perkins or Ryan Hollins, who are fucking, oh man, I was about to say something bad. Yeah, how can I put this nicely? They played basketball at a high level, at the highest level in the NBA. But there's a big difference between sitting down and talking to Kobe about basketball and talking to one of them dudes. Huge difference. Huge difference. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a huge difference when you sit down. You get what I'm saying? So that's all the people that's involved. That's not all of them. And then we got people like myself who didn't play at the highest level. I didn't play professional. I went to the military instead of playing basketball in college. And I played high school, but I didn't have the grades because I'm a C student at best, right? So, hey, look, I didn't get to the level, but I eat, sleep, like, well, I ain't gonna say it. I ate and I slept and I talked and I breathed basketball my entire life. Plus, I'm not a freaking idiot. So not only did I play the game, I also got common sense. And I can kind of explain certain things. And I can understand certain things. So I like my setup better than someone who's a geek who never played like Nick Wright, or a football player who played pro but didn't eat, sleep basketball, or a pro who eats, sleep basketball, played pro, but just don't have, you know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? A jock, right? Those are all the people that's involved. And then the worst ones are the ones who never played pro, never played college, never played high school. They fat. They ain't even nerds. They just somehow involved in basketball, NBA discourse, and they just here. And yeah, them they're pretty bad too. But we all one big, melting pot of basketball, and you sometimes you got to understand who you're talking to when you're talking to them. I've talked to every piece of that person or those people, and it is what it is. I appreciate all of them, to be honest with you. But some of y'all got to understand where y'all fall, and when y'all talking to people like Nick Wright, you got to understand where they fall. All right, man. Let me talk about Kuminga really quick, man, before I get out of here. I know Joe Lacob is got to make a decision on what he's going to do this summer that's going to affect the Warriors' future. Mainly Steve Kerr. He's got to make a decision on him. His contract is up. Are they going to re-sign him? They going to bring him back? They bringing the whole gang back? Like, what's the plan? If he's smart, I'm done with Steve Kerr. If he's smart, I'm done with Draymond Green as well. Like, this thing has been over. Right? I've never seen this much juice be squeezed out of one orange. Like, they've squeezed every bit of juice out of this orange, and they still squeezing it. Like, somewhere it's a dead horse. Like, man, come on, please stop beating me. Right? I mean, we talk about the last dance that the Bulls and Phil and Pippen and Mike went through, and that was the last dance. They knew it was the last dance. But this junk that's going on with Golden State, they on their fifth last dance. Hold on, what year was their last? That last dance was the championship year. That was their last dance. Like, what Bob Myers was doing with trying to draft, sign, and just put a team together. They called it the two timeline, the two timelines, where they felt like they still had a championship window with the core group of Steph, Clay, Draymond, Steve Kerr. But Bob Myers was working on another timeline that was for these new guys that we're going to simultaneously build up. Like, you got two things that you need to do. Keep this core going so we can make championship runs, but bring all their replacements in, let them sync together, play together for a while, and then at some point they got to pass the baton, and the new guys got to carry it on into the next decade. That's how you keep a dynasty going. San Antonio did pretty good with it. You had a generational player in David Robinson, and he had his run. He had his years where he was competitive with teams they built around him. And eventually they bring in another generational player in Tim Duncan, and they played together for a while. And then after a while, David Robinson passed the baton to Tim Duncan, and then David Robinson faded to black and retired. And then Tim Duncan had a team totally built around him. And then once his career was going to an end, they brought in another player that they felt like was going to be generational, who actually did turn into a generational player in Kawhi Leonard. And the plan was that Tim Duncan was supposed to pass the baton to him, and then he was supposed to take the Spurs into this next generation, but it didn't work out that way because, of course, they had some issues, right? That's what Bob Myers was trying to do. That's why bringing in Wiggins was important. Drafting Poole, drafting James Wiseman, drafting Kuminga, drafting Moody, all those dudes was part of the future. They bring in DiVincenzo. They had Gary Payton II. They had some pieces they was bringing in. The issue was Bob Myers' idea is not going to work unless they can convince the organization that at some point we got to cut ties with Draymond and Klay. We probably could move forward with the new guys built around Steph for a little while until Steph actually fades to black. But we can't keep pouring money into Klay and Draymond. It just not going to work. Because at some point, to keep these new guys, if they're playing pretty good the way Wiggins and Poole did, we got to pay them the money that we used to pay Draymond and Klay. But Draymond and Klay was greedy and was like, nah, we still want the money because we the one who bought y'all the championships. I deserve the money. They got too selfish. And then Steve Kerr was on their side. And that's when the war between the young bucks that Bob Myers was trying to bring in happened. And I think that's what made Bob Myers retire, because he was like, I got this perfect plan, but I can't execute it because the coach ain't on board with it. And all the players that the coach is affiliated with is not on board with it. And I can't execute it because you're convincing the team owner that your idea is the right idea. So you know what? Before we all end up not being close friends anymore, I just fall out. Y'all got it. If y'all about to give Draymond and Klay all this money, y'all don't want to give it to Poole, Wiggins, Kuminga, and all these dudes, okay, I roll out. Y'all done traded Wiseman. That was my draft pick. Y'all didn't even want to play him. Y'all didn't want to work with him. Okay, cool. I'm out. He retired, making some money somewhere else. He watched this Golden State Warriors go down in flames, right? But anyway, I do a whole episode breaking down all of that. I've already done it before. I'm going to do it again, right? But that's another day. Getting to this Knicks Hawks series. The reason why I was talking about the Warriors is because Jonathan Kuminga, second game in a row playing, like game one that they lost to New York, Kuminga got minimal minutes. And I just don't understand the love affair with Okongwu. He is the guy that can play big, that has more girth to him. So I understand why he gets minutes. I don't understand why he gets more minutes than Kuminga. But the minute they started playing Kuminga more, he started showing his worth. 19 points in game 2. Huge defensive plays he made on Brunson, on Karl-Anthony Towns. Points, timely points, exploiting mismatches, accepting the challenge, all of that good stuff. Propelled them to a win. And he did the same thing in game 3, propelled them to a win. And the Atlanta Hawks crowd loves him. Loves him, right? And you sit here and you think about, like, dang, man, Steve Kerr ain't had no room for that on his roster. What was really going on, right? They got to be kicking themselves. The owner got to be kicking himself. I remember when Denver Nuggets put the Clippers out in the playoffs. That was the last year Doc Rivers was coaching the Clippers. And right after that series was over, the new owner, Steve Ballmer of the Clippers, he fired Doc Rivers. And the reports was he was pissed off at Doc Rivers because in that series, they got lit up by Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. really won that series for Denver. The Clippers ain't had no answer for him. Michael Porter Jr. lit him up, and Steve Ballmer was pissed off because he was begging Doc Rivers to draft Michael Porter Jr. a couple of years before that, begging him. And Doc Rivers was like, nah, I got bad reports on his back. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good idea to draft him. So Doc convinced the team owner not to draft Michael Porter Jr., just to a couple of years later have a team that he paid good money for, coached by Doc Rivers with Kawhi and Paul George, and he paid really good money for this team, and he wanted to see his money work. And the guy that he recommended that you draft is the guy who ultimately chopped our head off. So the reason why I brought that up is because I think Joe Lacob really liked Kuminga, and he wanted Kuminga to play. Steve Kerr is the expert basketball guy with all the experience who bought you 4 rings. So you have to listen to him. You hired him for his basketball acumen. So even though you might want Kuminga to play, when he sits down and tells you, trust me, he's not what you think he is. It's a reason why he's not playing. When he tells you that as the team owner, you're like, well, my eyes is seeing, like when I see him on the floor, I see somebody that's good. He's really not good. He's not good. He doesn't work in our system. He can't play. His IQ is low, all this crazy stuff. Whatever he said to convince Joe Lacob that, you know, whatever it is. And then you had that email that came from a fan that was just annoyed by how bad the Warriors had been playing this year, where he wrote the team owner. It's like, what is going on? And the team owner actually wrote back and said, I'm just as frustrated as you. And he started going down a list of things that's frustrating him. And he mentioned a coach having personal vendettas with players, rotation issues, small ball lineups. Like, he was mentioning all this coaching stuff. So he's frustrated and has an issue with something that Steve Kerr is doing. And Jonathan Kuminga was part of that. I'm like, dude, how do you have personal vendetta with players? It's whatever it is, man, but it's crazy. And now the owner has got to be sitting down. As a matter of fact, let's see who got the highest paid roster in the league. Because I remember it used to be the Warriors. Highest paid. Let me see what a roster ranks at the highest paid roster right now. No, not player contracts. Team rosters, big dog. Team rosters. They're number 3. Their payroll is $208.8 million. The only 2 teams that are in front of them are the Knicks and the Cavs. So they used to be number 1. So you mean to tell me, and the Knicks and the Cavs are both in the playoffs. So you mean to tell me a team owner is spending the 3rd most money to a group of players who couldn't get 45 wins and missed the playoffs? And you mean to tell me that I've had the highest paid roster for the last 4 years, and out of those 4 years, I think we've missed the playoffs twice out of those 4 years. So you missing the playoffs and you getting put out in the second round. But I'm paying the most money, and I'm paying the most money because Steve Kerr as a coach is recommending that I pay these players. You remember one year they got put out in the second round, and it was Draymond Green's contract year. Only thing Golden State is doing is Curry, Clay, Draymond, and Kerr were all in cahoots together and just finding out ways for them to get more money and more money and more extensions and more chances and more this and more that. It was all clever. Like they was all telling him it's real clever how they doing it. If Draymond's contract is up, and let's say the owner's like, look, dude, I'm not about to pay him all his money. Y'all didn't even make the playoffs last year. They will start saying stuff like Draymond to go on his podcast and Steve Kerr go to certain podcasts, and they just be putting certain little words out there, and they will always say stuff like, when we're whole and healthy, we always make a run to the finals. So when they had missed 2 playoffs in a row, like after KD left Golden State and Klay was hurt, they won 15 games the first season, and in the second season they won like 30 games. But the second season, remember Klay he tore his ACL against the Raptors in the finals, so he didn't play that season. They won 15 games, and Steph didn't play either. He was hurt. But Steph came back the next season when they won 30, but Klay wasn't back because Klay tore his Achilles that summer before the season. So Klay missed 2 straight seasons, one for the ACL and then the next one for the Achilles. Steph and Draymond together without Klay won 30 games. And the owner was like, why the fuck am I about to pay y'all money if y'all can't win but 30 games? And Draymond and Steve Kerr was like, oh, when we whole, we're a championship team. So basically they was telling the owner, well, you can't really judge us without Klay. When Klay comes back and we got all 3 of us together with Steve Kerr, then we gonna make a championship run. And when Klay came back, it looked like it was true because they Bob Myers did really good by flipping Kevin Durant for D'Angelo Russell, because Kevin Durant was supposed to leave the Warriors as a free agent and sign with the Nets. But Bob Myers was able to convince Kevin Durant to do a signing trade so they can at least get something for him. And he was like, yeah, D'Angelo Russell over there, and we bringing Kyrie over here with me. So we already know we're not going to keep D'Lo and his salary. So, all right, I'll talk to the Nets, and they convinced them to do a signing trade. They traded him to Brooklyn for D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell came, didn't fit, so they traded D'Angelo Russell for Wiggins. Wiggins was probably one of the most important players on that roster when they won that finals. Steph was number 1. I think Wiggins was number 2, and Jordan Poole was number 3. That's why Wiggins and Jordan Poole got paid that summer after they won it. Now, Jordan Poole and Wiggins was more important than Klay and Draymond to their playoff run. But now it looks to the ownership like what they were saying is real when they said, if you got Klay, Draymond, and Steph together, we're a championship team if we're healthy. But a smart guy would have known, dude, Draymond, you got benched against the Boston Celtics in the finals. You were unplayable. Draymond was really important in the Denver series when he was guarding Jokic. But other than that, the entire season and the entire playoff run, Draymond was ass. He showed up against Denver, ass everywhere else. Right? And Klay wasn't that good either. He was getting outplayed by Jordan Poole. It was a no-brainer. It looked like what was supposed to happen is now we give Wiggins the money, we give Jordan Poole the money, and we give Steph the money. And then Draymond and Klay, if y'all want to stay here, your new role is whatever Iguodala and Sean Livingston role was coming off the bench. When y'all was getting paid, what was supposed to happen is when Draymond and Klay and Steph first got their first taste of money when they was young, the veterans like David West, Sean Livingston, Barbosa, and Iguodala voluntarily went to the bench and was like, we'll take less money and play this bench role so it can work. Let the young boys get paid. Iguodala had already got paid when he was in Philly. He know what big contracts is about, and he good with money, so he not that greedy. He understands that I have to take this role back. I know I'm better than Draymond, but especially when he was really young, but I go to the bench so he can do his thing. I've already been paid. That's what Klay and Draymond was supposed to do. All right, I've got paid 2 times by the Warriors, 2 max deals. Do you really need a third and a fourth? Right? Go to the bench. You seen Poole and Wiggins just with Steph Curry win this championship, and you and Clay were not that important to the squad, not as not physically on the floor. You might have been verbally important in the locker room, but that was obvious. Poole and Wiggins was the future, along with Steph. So y'all was supposed to take less money and let them get paid. That way, the owner don't have the third highest roster in the league, and y'all can't even make the playoffs. So what happened? Draymond and Clay's jealousy drove them to want Wiseman out of the man. Why you keep trying to play this 7-footer? We play small ball over here. That's what makes Draymond important. Because if we play conventional basketball with a real 7-footer, I don't need Draymond out there because James Wiseman can move his feet, move his puppies, and guard the perimeter just like Draymond can, but at 7 foot. So now he's a lob threat on offense. He can shoot, he can post up, and he can block shots at the rim and move his feet on the perimeter. That makes Draymond Green obsolete in the Warriors, and we don't have to do small ball no more. And Steve Kerr didn't want that, and Draymond didn't want it. Clay and Steph didn't want it. So they pushed James Wiseman out. When the first opportunity they got to push him out of there is when he got hurt. And when he got hurt, he was out for like 2 or 3 months. When he came back, that was like, you got to go to the G League for like a week just to get your cardio back up. He went to the G League, they came back, and he never got back in the lineup. So eventually it was like, man, we just go trade him. We rolling without him. We wanted him out of here anyway because we want to keep Draymond. So they got James Wiseman up out of there. They pushed Moody all the way to the back of the end of the bench. And then when they won that championship and Jordan Poole played so good and was now the Poole party and the third splash brother, oh man, Draymond ain't never been a splash brother. Draymond is a little jealous. And if you remember, they already knew they was going to get paid because all the young bucks that was new, Gary Payton, Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, DiVincenzo, all those young newcomers that was on Golden State championship team, they were all cool. But all the old heads like Draymond, Steve Kerr, Steph, and Clay, they were cool. And Kevon Looney was in the middle. He did both because he was closer in age to the new guys, but he was there before them. So he had a connection with the core group as well. So Kevon Looney was kind of in the middle. So there was jealousy. If you remember when they was popping champagne when they won the championship, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and Gary Payton, they would like circle up, pouring champagne on each other. And Gary Payton looked at Jordan Poole and said, "You about to get paid," because he just played phenomenal all playoffs, all season really. But really the playoffs, especially because the first round of the playoffs, Steph was hurt, which should have been a sign to the Warriors like, hey, he's getting older. The way he plays, he's not going to give you 70, 75, 82 games a season. He's not going to give it to you. Have an insurance policy. This Jordan Poole kid is good. They started Jordan Poole in the place of Steph Curry in the first round of the playoffs, and Jordan Poole played like it was his team. He led them through the first round of the playoffs. He played so well that when they got to the second round, the Hall of Fame Steph Curry came back, and Steve Kerr was like, the kid rolling. So we go, you know, we not go yank him. We go work you back into the starting lineup. This is Steph's team, and he's the Hall of Famer. And Steph was humble enough, and Kerr was aware enough that let me just ease you back in because he's been rolling with this team. I don't want to just yank the Band-Aid off. And Steph didn't start the first game, maybe the first 2 games. He didn't start, and then they eased him back, and then they swat. You know, they put Poole on the bench and Steph, and that was important because psychologically, what that would have done to Poole, that could have damaged him. If they would have been like, all right, thanks for what you did getting us to the second round. You back to the bench. Steph is back, and Steph go out there and he not 100% ready, and they lose a game. Like he didn't want to do that, so that was smart by Steve Kerr. I'll give him credit for that. But that's how good Poole was playing. He was playing so well. That he led them out of the first round, and Steph didn't even start a couple of games when he came back in the second round. That's how I put that. So Gary Payton was like, you about to get paid. And Jordan Poole was like, no, you about to get paid, because Gary Payton played well too, defensively and hustle. No, you about to get paid. Nah, you about to get paid. And they was laughing. They was having fun, popping champagne. So everybody in the locker room knew, and Bob Myers probably already foreshadowed that, oh, no, we go Poole getting some money, dog. And what ended up happening is I think they let Payton go. They couldn't afford Payton. And everybody knew they was going to pay Poole. And when they came back to training camp, it was a different feel in the training camp. This is fresh off a championship. We done went and spent the summer alone with our families, and now we back for training camp. And we ain't even in training camp long before tensions are flaring up. And you could tell, because the last time Draymond Green was in a contract situation that involved another teammate, and he was threatened by it, was with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was in the contract year the same year Draymond Green was in the contract year, his last year with the Warriors. And KD, he wasn't talking to the Warriors that often, because he said that he was locked in trying to get this third championship. He didn't want to think about the contract. He said he was locked in on the goal. So he wasn't telling the Warriors or his teammates what his plans was as far as him re-signing back with the Warriors, which was crazy because Draymond Green couldn't even get negotiations started with the Warriors because they was like, we're not doing anything until we find out what's going on with Kevin Durant. Right? So imagine you, Draymond Green, it's your contract year and you trying to get a big payday, and your agent saying, hey man, Bob Myers won't even talk to me, dog. He said the first thing they got to do is figure out what's up with KD. So what that sounds like is, depending on what KD is going to do, he's going to get whatever money he asked for. We're trying to keep him, which means that Draymond, you're going to get what's left. You're not getting a huge payday. You're going to get what's left after Kevin Durant signed. And if ain't nothing left, then we got to let your black ass go. So Draymond's frustrated because he can't get anything out of Kevin Durant edge-wise. Like, what are you trying to do? So he's frustrated. You're not telling nobody nothing. And I can't even negotiate because we waiting on you. You go wait to the end of the season? Like, I'm not a Hall of Fame talent like you are. I got to strike with the irons hot. What if I get hurt this season while I'm waiting for negotiation? Like, what if I get hurt and I can't even get my money? Like, I understand his frustration. Like, dog, I'm frustrated. I'm waiting on you, and I can't even get my agent to talk to nobody because they saying they need to talk to you first and figure out what you gonna do. So he was already frustrated for that. And that's why he came out of his mouth frustrated when they was playing the Clippers, and he called them the B word and said, we won without you. We don't need you and all that stuff, because he's frustrated. He felt threatened. He felt cornered. He lashed out because he felt threatened. So that's what happened with Kevin Durant. Now it's happening again. They just won a championship. Draymond Green wasn't driving force and all of that. Wiggins and Jordan Poole was. And Jordan Poole's about to get a payday. But it's also a contract year for Draymond that year. So he's frustrated. And once again, if Jordan Poole gets his money, that means I'm getting scraps or I'm getting traded. So once again, my career is banking on what's going on with this guy. And I know he about to take that loot, and he fits better with this team, and he looks like part of the future. He's just overall jealous and pissed off. So when they had their dust up, he was more than happy to knock that dude out. Then they paid Jordan Poole. They didn't pay Draymond. They paid Jordan Poole. And they played the rest of that season trying to fix the locker room that Draymond Green severed with that punch. The dynasty ended the day he punched Jordan Poole. It was over. The repeat was done. The locker room the chemistry was jacked up. All the core three of Draymond, Steph, and Clay, Kevon Looney in the middle, and then the newcomers of DiVincenzo, Peyton, Poole, Wiggins, it was separated. The locker room was separated. Those young dudes didn't appreciate that. So much so that DiVincenzo, after that season, had a player option that he could have accepted and stayed in Golden State. He turned down the player option and left. I think that's when he probably ended up in New York, but he turned down the player option and left. He didn't even want to be in Golden State. And I found out why later on a podcast when he was talking, and he was like, Jordan Poole was my best friend on the Warriors. So imagine seeing your best friend get knocked out like that. The dude that knocked you out, punishment was take 2 days off, just get ready for the first game of the season, ring night. And we getting whipped in the shape during training camp. We working hard. We running ourselves back in shape. It's a hard training camp. And Draymond punishment was don't come back to training camp, just go home, but show up for the first game of the season because it's ring night. His suspension ended the first game of the season. So they didn't want to punish him to where he missed a game and got docked a game check. So his punishment was actually rest. You don't have to do training camp with the rest of these clowns that's getting in shape. You can just go home and be with your family. That was his punishment. And DiVincenzo's looking like my friend. I'm. You can imagine the conversation him and Jordan Poole was having if they're best friends. So he knows the inside real scoop, and he don't like it. So he left. The locker room was so jacked up. I seen during games where Draymond would be trying to talk to Jordan Poole, and Jordan Poole would just ignore him. And I remember they was going to the bench, and Draymond was trying to talk to him, and Jordan Poole wasn't even looking at him. He was just walking to the bench. And Steph Curry had his hands up like this and was telling Jordan Poole, this ain't helping. He was like, dude, this not helping. So you could tell the issue that was going on with the locker room. There was an issue because they kept losing games. So there was a chemistry issue with the locker room. But every time it reared its ugly's head, people like Steph Curry would blame Jordan Poole for it. So you're going to blame Jordan Poole for his own knockout session. Why would you hit Draymond's hand with your face that hard? That's basically what they were saying. Like, why would you fuck the locker room up by hitting Draymond's hand with your face? And why aren't you forgiving him and just playing ball and hooping and just like they was blaming Jordan Poole for being human. I got knocked out. It got on camera. The dude that knocked me out didn't get no punishment, and y'all punishing me for it. They thought that if we give him the contract, like let's go ahead and give him his money. They gave him the contract extend. They thought if we give you the money, then everything is fine. Let's just fix the locker room and try to defend this title. And Jordan Poole was like, nah, it's not whole. Like, y'all didn't even punish dude. Ain't this what y'all didn't learn this from Kevin Durant? Like the stuff that he said that Kevin Durant was detrimental to the team. And y'all couldn't even reel that in. And Kevin Durant said what bothered him the most is the leadership. Steve Kerr, Clay, and Steph, no one they never spoke up about it. They never in the locker room came to Kevin Durant and said, I don't know what Draymond on, but that ain't what we think, dog. We need you. I don't believe that. And then it was Kevin Durant's contract year. So you think that the GM and the coach and Steph Curry would be kissing his ass saying, hey, dog, we would trade Draymond if that's what you want. We don't want you to leave. Whatever he said, no, we don't believe that. Draymond, hey, if I was Bob Myers, I would have been on the phone that day that he said that the Kevin Durant looking for trade offers for Draymond. And I would have pulled Draymond in the office, and I would have pulled Kevin Durant in the office and said, hey, I don't care what y'all say. This is the decision I made. The only way I can fix this is Draymond, you got to go. I'm trading you, dog. Like, this is the last straw. I'm trading you. That's what's happening. And Kevin Durant was like, nah, I don't need to do that. We trying to defend the title. Nah, dog. I'm trying to make sure that we can keep this dynasty going. And I would rather sign Kevin Durant than sign Draymond with no Kevin Durant. So Draymond, unfortunately, you sealed your fate. I'm looking for trade offers. Now, what that would have done was show Kevin Durant that he had people on his side, and they wasn't picking Draymond's side just because he was there first. That would have showed Kevin Durant that, and you probably could have been looking for real trade offers. And if you got a good one, you could have pulled it up. But just because you was looking for trade offers and you told him you was, doesn't mean that he was going to end up getting traded. But what they would do is show Kevin Durant, I got your back, big dog. Number one. Number two, Kevin Durant would have been like, dude, I really want to defend this title and win this chip. We got to work this out. And they would have really worked that out amongst themselves, and they would have got the ball rolling. But ain't no fucking leadership in that daggone locker room. Unfortunately, the only person that got leadership skills is probably Draymond. And he's the most irrational. I ain't gonna say irrational. He's the most loose cannon type person ever. So he's the worst leader to have. Unfortunately, Steve Kerr, Joe Lacob, Clay, Steph, all were afraid of Draymond. So it don't matter if you think Steph was the leader. Draymond was really the leader. So that was the issue. That was the issue. So, yeah, that's a lot of conversation to have just based on what I'm seeing what Kuminga is doing in this Atlanta Hawks series. But shout out to Kuminga, dog. Shout out to Kuminga for real, for real. Oh, man, Steph ain't the leader, dog. Let me open the phone lines up for about 10, 15 minutes, man. Steph ain't the leader. He might be the leader, but he's a poor leader. Let's say that. He's the leader, but he's a poor leader. Let's take about 3 phone calls and I'm go ahead and call it a night. Yeah. Yeah, some people think the best player is always the leader. Not always the case. Hit the like button while I'm waiting for this phone call to come in. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. I really like Steph, but he's not a leader, though. I like him too. Yeah. I mean, he might very well be a leader. He's just not a good one. He's not one. Like, some people can lead when everything is going right and perfect, but when things get bad and chaotic, that's when your leadership skills really need to be tapped in. Because to make something to make something right that's going so wrong, that takes real leadership, right? You know, you get what I'm saying? What's going on, caller? You got a loud background. See if you can get that background down. What's your thoughts?
It's off now?
Yeah, good. Yeah, go ahead.
How you doing, boss?
I'm good. What's up?
I think it's a media creation, though, when you're talking about leader. I think it's a way for them to go against the person that don't love, aka like a KD type. Because that's like the only way they always try to trash KD. He's not a leader. They never talk about his game, right? They always talk about he's not a leader. But the same way, they never talk about Steph as the best player in Golden State. Everybody knows Steph is not a leader in Golden State, right? And secondly, they don't talk about James like they always talk about, oh yeah, he's a great leader. How he's a great leader every time a teammate not doing good, not playing well, he threw him under the bus. Or coaching, whatever, not doing well, he threw him under the bus. And then talking about, oh, we don't have, we top heavy. That was back in when we were playing with the Cavs. So they always found a way to protect those players, the one that they love, like the Steph, the James, the Jokic. They're always the one that the media loves. It's all good, but the one that they don't hate, if they don't talk, if they can't trash his game, then no, his game is nice. We can't talk about his game. So now they found a way to create a way to trash him Not talking about, oh, KD's not a leader. Like, yo, the same way, like because I remember when KD first got traded to Phoenix, Stephen A. and a bunch of people was talking about, is Devin Booker team. That's his team.
Yeah.
KD the second option, that's his team.
When
everything went bad,
it was Kevin Durant. Yeah.
It was KD team.
Yeah. So,
and when you do the
here's the thing.
right?
Here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
There's only two type of people who really come down on Kevin Durant that much, and it's LeBron fans and it's Steph Curry fans. Those are the only people who really do that. They're only doing that because it's something that they're insecure about with Steph or LeBron that Kevin Durant threatens or used to threaten. So that's how they punch back at Kevin Durant. Now, when it comes to like Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith, that's just personal between them and Kevin Durant. They got into run-ins before, and every chance they get to kind of like reflash that they do it. And Kendrick Perkins, that's his best material online, is talking about Kevin Durant. So anytime he get a chance to bring something to Kevin Durant, that's his best hot take. Just like when Stephen A. Smith was doing it to Kwame Brown, that was his best hot take, and then it turned into Kyrie Irving. That's I mean they doing it for that, but the people that's on our level is really just LeBron and Steph fans.
Exactly. And the crazy thing, when you talk about Kendrick Perkins, right?
Say again.
Like when you talk about Kendrick Perkins, right? I was like, okay, all season there's a bunch of so-called experts that goes on TV, ex-players, ex-coaches, GMs, whatever, that has podcasts or go on a TV network show, whatever, ESPN and everything. All season they talk about the Houston team is a fraud team. They need a point guard. They need a shooter. They need this, they need that. Now everyone in the world able to see how bad the team was, but at the same time, Kendrick Perkins was saying like KD playing for his legacy. But the team was bad. It was not a good team.
Mm-hmm.
So how now is his fault?
Because it's a good it's a good hot take. I mean, it did what it did. It made its rounds. It's a good hot take. That's all.
That makes no sense.
That's all it is. It's a good hot take.
So much money on TV to like give trash takes. If nobody calling him out, that make no sense.
Yeah, it is what it is. He called himself out though. He called himself out. He was on JJ Reddit podcast some years ago, and he talked about how the producers when he his first year on ESPN, the producers when they was prepping for a show, and the producers was like, "Hey man, imagine us being in the group chat, the people that you on the panel with, and the producers are in there talking about a segment they want to do, and they ask, do any one of y'all want to argue the other way on this? And you could use this angle." And Kendrick Perkins was like, "Yeah, I do it." You get what I'm saying? So like the producers actually gave
a clown, man. He's a clown.
Yeah, he was describing this. He said the producers actually gave him a take or position. And I think what it was I can't remember the team, but it was a young team that was playing well in the playoffs. They had one game won. And the producers was like, "Hey, we want to do this segment. Like, is this a new dynasty?" And they was like, "Man, do anybody want to say that it is a new dynasty?" And Kendrick Perkins was like, "Yeah, I jump off the porch and say it." So he said he went on the national TV and said it's a new dynasty. And like everybody said no. And Kendrick Perkins was the only one that went the other way and was like, "Yeah, it is." And he gave his reasoning. And whatever team that was went on to lose like 2 or 3 straight, and then they ended up getting put out, and that take ended up looking bad. But he was like, sometimes he said sometimes it be like that, and that's how it is. The producers are looking for stuff that's gonna get them ratings, So most of the stuff that you hear on TV, these dudes are getting fed that from the producers.
Yeah, he a clown though.
They all are. They all are.
Clown. Remember, like 2 days ago, I spoke to you. I told you like that Denver, Minnesota is a bad matchup for Denver, and I feel like if the refs let those guys play,
They ain't got no chance.
It's gonna end up 4-1.
Too many athletes, dog.
It's a bad matchup.
It's a bad, yeah.
All over for Denver. And I told you, like, yo, I don't even know why Denver even try to get the third seed when they find out Minnesota cannot go to 7, cannot go to 5, or cannot go to 4. They was stuck on 6. So I even try to go play Minnesota in first round, knowing like those guys gonna have fresh legs. It's the first round. Like Ant-Man, yeah, he's not healthy, but like they don't have just Ant-Man. Their team is like built for you to beat you. The same GM that's the GM right now was your old GM, so he knows exactly how he built that team to beat you though.
Yeah.
You don't have the athlete to go against their wings, and you got a center that only play one side that everybody keep calling he's the best player in the world that just play 50% of basketball. Like, how can you be the best but you not play both sides, just playing one side? You're getting cooked.
Facts.
By Rudy Gobert, man. Come on. Like,
facts.
Knock it off. Come on now.
That's a fact.
And I told you it was a bad matchup, and that's what JD McDaniels was so like, yo, I could say it because cannot play defense.
Yeah, but it's from the basketball perspective, you're 100% right. I just didn't think that the referees was going to let them just play basketball. I thought that it was going to interfere with it and try to help Denver like they always do. Because this could have been happening like what's going on with Denver now should have always happened to Denver. Except that 1 year they won it. That 1 year they won it, they was on a mission. They was the best team in the finals. I mean, in the playoffs that year. But every year after that, or all throughout the season, the Denver Nuggets should have been getting exposed just like this. But they was getting so many calls and they was getting so much favor and you couldn't touch Jokic and it was just insane. I was like, dang, like they're not going to let you beat Denver a lot of times. Like them going 7 games with OKC last year was a straight farce. Like it was a fluke. Like that was just whistle manipulation. Like OKC Thunder would be doing the same thing to Denver right now if the referees allowed it. My question is why the referees allowing them to play straight up all of a sudden. Like, do they not want Jokic to be the face no more? What is it? Did they take their favor away from him?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think they're gonna find a way to let Jokic get a game in Minnesota before they go back to Denver. Yeah. I feel like the only superstar that don't get no calls, they let any type of defense play on do KD. The only superstar KD. Is KD, man.
Yeah.
That's the only suit.
But that's his own. But that's his own fault because he never complains and he's trying to figure it out and play through it. He wants to be able to beat that instead of complain so he can get a fair whistle. You know what I mean? So I don't know what you're supposed to do because like when you go play, on the outside courts, once I got to a point where I felt like I was really good, especially when I was playing with guys that I knew couldn't guard me, I didn't call fouls. I just didn't call them. Like, I come to your neighborhood, I play, you foul me. If I missed a shot, I missed a shot. I'm coming down and I'm playing defense. You know what I mean? So I think Kevin Durant is taking that approach, man. He was like, look, man, I don't need the fouls. I'll play through it.
I think KD know what's going on in NBA though. I think KD feel like the fact that he stopped the NBA fake GOAT of getting two more rings to equal Michael Jordan. I feel like since after that, the NBA and that's me thinking. That's not something I know for sure. I think the NBA, Adam Silver, don't like that. I think Adam Silver want to have his own GOAT. Just Davidson had MJ. Everybody know MJ is the GOAT. So Davidson want to create his own GOAT to say, yo, I can equal Davidson as for like total rings. Like my guy got 6 rings and he got the number 1 scoring leader in NBA history. Yours got 6, but he's not. The fact that KD stopped him of getting 2 more since after that, the whole time, just know, like when KD went to the Nets, out of NBA, the media was finding reason to book up that team since the team was even made up. Before even James Harden went to the Nets, They was talking about, yo, he's not gonna be able to play with Kyrie. Like, he said, nah, that can't play. Like, knowing after a few games, them boys was like trashing every team. Now they're finding reason about vaccine. They're finding reason about post, whatever, all type of reason. They even asked Kyrie, or yo, you should opt out of $30-something million contract. Go start with the Lakers for $6 million to go play with. Like, it's been like that. That's what the fact they keep pushing KD out of tough top 10. They keep pushing Steph up because no, they're still mad. KD stopped their fate go to getting 2 more. Since after that, the NBA, everything about it, you could tell. Even when KD got traded to Phoenix, the day he got traded to Phoenix, guess what? Because the new owner of the Phoenix was like, yo, I'm about to spend. I'm going to try to get anybody to come play with Phoenix. They knew that. Right after that, guess what? The CBA just passed. 3rd, 2nd April, you can't spend no money. Like, come on, it's like, yo, it's crazy. But when you just think about the way shit going on, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. The NBA against KD until he retired, like, no, they're against him. Like, he can't win no more chips, bro. Like, all season long, they know that team near the point guard. You telling me the GM gave up on the season? You can check after the trade deadline.
Yeah, they really did.
I give up on the team. Like,
they really
make no
did
sense.
for sure. Yeah.
How?
Yeah, for sure.
Come on now, man. Everybody, James Jones make a bunch of bad trade last season with Phoenix, like knowing that that team needs size near the point guard. All those guys he traded for, none of those guys still in the NBA. Come on now, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And now you're working for the NBA office league right now?
Yeah.
Come on. Come on, man.
All right, man. I appreciate the call.
It's just crazy. No problem, bro.
All right, no doubt. Yep. All right, I probably could take one more before I get up out of here. Let me see what y'all saying in the comment section. The Nugget success is coming from being modern team. Modern team to emphasize post play, inside out ball, mid range, but the Joker centric offense and poor defense stops them from winning more. I agree. Caller, what's up?
Yo, what up, bro?
What's good, man?
Yeah, it's T-Bird.
Man, where you been? I ain't heard from you in like 2 months, dog.
Oh, man, just life be life. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, you been hooping?
Yeah, I actually was out there. We getting good weather over here in Philly. So, yeah, me and my son was out there hooping tonight. We played for like 4 hours from like 5 to like 9:30. So we getting back in the swing of things.
I got invited out a couple of weeks ago. I ain't played ball, I want to say in maybe 2 years. I played my nephew one-on-one last summer, but like playing full court, it's been like 2 years, right? So my win ain't what it used to be, right? So my son invited me out to go hoop a couple of weeks ago. I went out there. We playing half court.
Come on, Mel. You lost the love for it? Come on, bro. That's old heads. We don't give it up.
So I'm out there with these kids, right?
Yeah.
And hey, first of all, the defense was there. The muscle was there, like the grown man strength was there. I could get what I wanted in the post. You know what I mean? The handle was still there. You know what I mean? The pull up. I didn't shoot no threes. I was scared to see what that was gonna feel like, but listen, so we halfway through the game, and I'm not struggling, but I'm like, okay, this is what the lungs is about to start telling on me right now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to stay in, and one of the dudes took a phone call like in the middle of the game. And he was like, hey, I gotta go. And that was like, we need to drop one. Hey, I'm out. I go sit
down. Yeah, look, bro, you just gotta get your win back up. But look, this is what we do, because I'm out there running with 18 to 25-year-olds. Yeah. I'm an OG, so I take my plays off. Like, you know what I mean? I be load managing on the court sometimes.
Oh man. But the last time I played full court, man, my win was decent. It was my legs that was a problem then. Well, you know what I'm saying? It started feeling a little heavy, but my wind was straight. But then I fell off again, and I think now my wind is an issue. But anyway, what's your thoughts though?
Oh man, I got a lot to say, man, about the NBA.
All right.
I'll be arguing with the young bulls on the court, and it's just showing that I'm right. So, you know, all the young bulls, we done with the 90s, they was trash, this and that and that and this, right? So I want you to just peep this, right? What happened to this era is way more skilled, way more talented, just way better basketball players. And I kept telling them that's not like automatically true. What happened is the league did away with defense, period. And that inflated the scores.
Mm-hmm.
So like, look at like Denver. They averaged for this year like 124, 125 points a game. Do you see now that they're playing defense that the scoring has significantly gone down?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just with them. So I've been comparing like some of the scores to just random 90s playoff games. And now that this year's NBA, they're in the playoffs, they're playing deep, they're putting up almost 90s like scores. But wait a minute. Y'all so much better, so much talented, so much skilled. What happened to y'all games 130, 140, 150s? Like, we got teams now, if you look today, a team score 83 points. Like what's going on? What happened to all y'all skill? Y'all so much better than the 90s.
That's a daggone good question, man. And Denver's supposed to have the number one offense, rated offense in the league, and they only had 98 points tonight. They couldn't even crack 100.
Yeah, and a lot of teams, especially the losing teams, aren't cracking 100, right?
Yeah.
Even OKC, they're probably scoring the best, but I think their best game was like 120 points. Like, come on now. Like, the teams are putting up 80s and 90s. So it's not that this era is way more skilled and just way better basketball players. When you eliminate defense, it inflates the score. Now you bring defense back. People are struggling now. They're struggling overall. And these NBA playoffs the scores are just low. They're just about 90. So I just wanted to, expose that. And then the whole Denver thing. Listen, Jokic might be, top 10 all-time center in scoring. But when people try to say, oh, he's top 10, top 5, or number 1 greatest center of all time, it's called basketball. This dude is exposed. He might be, I think he's worse than Luka. They are just attacking him. He's 7 foot, and they just don't care. They don't care so much. They're calling him out at post-press conferences. And they called him out the last post-press conference because you think Joker would be like, no, I'm going to play D. I'm going to block shots. No, they went at him. He got dunked on. He does not exist. So as a basketball player, I don't have him even in my top 20 overall basketball player
all
because
time?
He's a zero. He's a zero on defense.
Yeah, I don't have him.
He's a zero.
I don't.
He's a zero.
I don't have him in my top 20 either.
No, you just can't now, but you can't deny his offense is brilliant.
Man, he can. Yeah. Offensively, that dude is phenomenal.
He's absolutely great.
And I'm just talking about his scoring. I'm not even talking about the assists and the pass. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of people that can pass the ball and there's good passers. And there's a lot of big men that can pass the ball. So I hate when people is like, we've never seen this before and he's the best big man passer ever. No, he's the only big man passer that a coach has allowed him to play point guard. Like Derek Coleman.
For sure.
Derek Coleman had even more skill than Jokic. He could dribble, shoot, pass, post up. He could do it all and was more athletic and played defense. So Derek Coleman was like that. Honey Buns.
Absolutely.
He ate himself out of the league, but if somebody had told Derek Coleman that he could run point and make Kenny Anderson do what Jamal Murray is doing, he would have crazy numbers too. But nobody was coaching centers like that back then.
No, and you know who else had a good little handle, good little pass game? Danny Manning. Like his offense, his footwork, his defense, he was like that too.
Yeah.
And I want to say this. I text you. This is when the Rockets did that trade with KD. You go back through our text. I was like, that trade was horrible, right? And you know, and look, it just turned out like the trade was horrible, bro. They got rid of Green. He was 22 and they traded him. He's doing pretty good now in the playoffs.
Green not it though.
He might not be it, but we gotta give him some chance because his ceiling is still a little higher. What is he, 23 now? 24?
If you think about all the other young players that are uber athletes, you know, and stuff like that, you can get one of them. Like San Antonio got 4 of them. They got Dylan Harper, they got Castle,
Vassell.
You can kind of say, well, he was more of a shooter, but yeah, he's an athlete as well. But like you can get those guys in the draft, right? So I'm not, it ain't like Jalen Green was going to turn into he's not going to turn into SGA. He's not going to. No. So we just, like Malik Monk, I can get more out of Malik Monk on the Houston Rockets right now than I was getting from Jalen.
Malik Monk is nasty. He just needs the opportunity to showcase his skill.
Correct.
I just think overall with that, I didn't like that Denver trade because their whole premise was based around defense. And you gave away your best defensive player. And then Jalen Green was okay playing the passing lanes. And KD it just wasn't it. They was the 2nd seed last year, and now they're the 4th seed. And
that ain't a huge jump, number one. And number two, a lot of other teams got better. I mean, we got San Antonio being the number 1 team. And you know what I mean? Like it's not the same season. Like, I don't think that mean that the team is better off than what they had last year. Because I think if they would have kept Green and Dylan Brooks, they wasn't going to be no damn 2nd seed this year.
See, I can roll with that. You know what they needed? I think KD would have fit on that team if he was a free agent and just walked, just went and signed with them.
Correct.
And they keep their core.
Correct.
And now they got that clutch scorer. But who do you blame for this Houston debacle the most?
I don't blame nobody. Because I think the only reason why we're looking for blame is because KD is on the roster, and just because KD is KD, that the expectations were super high. But when you just realistically look at it and be like, oh shoot, as soon as Van Vliet got hurt, everybody was like, oh, that's gonna change things, right? And when you don't replace Van Vliet, then
it's a problem,
right? Because they thought that Asir was gonna be able to handle the point. And the fact that he's almost like Ben Simmons from the 3-point line, that's making it hard for him. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's a lot.
I'm gonna tell you who I blame, right? And my blame is different, right? And my game is based on what I'm seeing. These last 2 games, I'm blaming Udoka primarily. I don't think he's putting KD in the proper positions. KD is getting blitzed and double teamed, and he's still running him in the same offense at the top of the key, handling the ball. Like, I'm not a JJ Redick fan. I think JJ might be slightly below average coach. He is coaching rings around Udoka. Where is the adjustments to the double teams? Where is the adjustments to the blitzing and the traps? Where's the adjustments? It's no adjustments. And so I blame Udoka for the lack of adjustments. What you think about that?
100%. I mean, I mean, first of all, they acting like they got surprised by this game plan. They just played the Lakers 2 games in a row just before the playoffs, and this is what they did to Kevin Durant. And he didn't handle it well then. It is insane and amazing to me that they would come into the first round of the playoff against the Lakers, knowing that that's what they go do, and y'all not ready for it. That is insane.
2 games back to back too.
Yeah, that is freaking insane. So yeah, that's on the coaching, but that's also on Kevin Durant and there's also on the other teammates. Because I'm like, dude, a simple double team at the top of the key or at the corner by half court. Why ain't nobody flashing to the free throw line, flashing to the top of the key? Like flash right there in the middle. And all of that is done, but they're not even doing it half the time.
They're not doing that at all.
They stand at the 3-point line thinking, oh, we just got to keep it spaced out. He's getting doubled. You have to come to the ball and you have to flash to the middle. I don't understand what they're doing.
They need, because KD likes to operate on the right-hand side. That's where he's getting doubled at. So somebody, you're right, got to be at the foul line, and somebody has to be parallel to KD, like 30 feet across parallel. So he has two options, and they're just not doing it. Like, I've never seen this before in my life.
I want to see Kevin Durant off the ball. I've been wanting to see him off the ball ever since Phoenix. Like, I don't want to see him on the ball no more. He's just not he's not built to initiate the offense like that on a long-term basis. Can he do it?
No.
Can he do it temporarily? Yes, but do I want to run my offense with Kevin Durant at the top of the key? No. I want Kevin Durant to end my offense. I want someone else to initiate it, and I want the ball to eventually be in Kevin Durant's hand for him to take a shot. And I don't want to start that from the top of the key with him with the ball in his hand.
Yo, I'm at the same spot you at with that. I want to see KD, come off some flare screens from the bottom, work his way up. I want to see him get some quick catches in the mid post, and he could just shoot over whoever. I want to see him in the pinch post, just shooting over top of people. I want to see him run off of flares and shooting middies. I just want to see him in a bunch of off-ball action. And I don't want him to be my primary ball handler initiating the offense. Like you said, can he do it? Yeah, but primarily for majority game, like they need to get him off the ball and moving. So me and you on the same page with that, bro.
Yeah, nah, for sure.
When are we not on the same page? But I'm gonna let you go. I know you trying, finish your night off. But
yeah,
look, it only take 2 weeks. 2 weeks to get your win back.
You know what? I hope that's true because I'm gonna try it again because I miss it. I need to get out there, but
2 weeks for sure.
I gotta I gotta get up out of here. I gotta pack and I got a flight to catch in the morning, man. So
all right, good talking to you.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Man. I appreciate it. Hey, good to see you again. Oh, good to hear from you again, T-Bert.
Yes, sir.
All right, no doubt.
All right, talk to you. All right.
All right, y'all. I think that's it, man. Unless I get another caller. I'm gonna go ahead and end this one. Oh, somebody sent a voicemail. Whoever that 281 number, you can call back. You'll be the last caller. Yeah, Kevin Durant got to get off the ball, but I guess they feel like they can't take him off the ball because I don't know if they trust Asur or Shepard, and with Asur with the ball, they're just backing off of him all the way to the free throw line and just giving him all that space. So. But, that might be work to their advantage. They're not pressuring the ball. He get to stand up there and do whatever he want to do with no pressure. So that might be the lick. Let Kevin Durant come off some screens, man. But I want to see a high level of coaching from Udoka 100%. You know what I mean? And I want to see them attack on defense. They standing back and reacting to everything that the Lakers are doing. They're not dictating nothing on defense. They're not attacking. So, if you play chess, imagine if you never take your pieces past the midway point of the board, you just stay back here and you just moving back here. That's how they're playing defense. They're staying right here and letting everything come to them and think they go defend it once it come to them. Nah, you have to go in and attack. That's your best. Yep. Well, like when you're playing defense, you got to go into a offensive posture where you are actually attacking them on defense, where the defense is attacking, not the offense attacking. Right? You play better in chess when you're attacking and setting up. Like, you don't want to just be so aggressive in attack and get in, and you get blindsided. You don't want to be overly aggressive, but when you're strategically and smartly attacking on defense, you're going to make the offense make a lot of mistakes, and you'll be dictating some things versus them attacking you. So that's what they got to do a little different in this game 3. We'll see if they do it. And if they don't, then, you know, all the stuff that they go hear on social media and on mainstream media is well deserving. But all right, y'all. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.